Capricorns, September is ramping up to be a pretty exciting month. Let's have an aligned astro chat about it. Shalom, all. Stacy the Black Feather Intuitive, and welcome to your Transformational Tarot for September. This is part of my Black Feather Couture Divining a VIP Life series. So excited to be connecting with you guys today. And the deck that was calling to me for you guys is the Universal Fantasy Tarot. This is by Paolo Martinello. And as our theme card, the overarching theme, we are pulling a card from the Spiritual Awakening Oracle cards from Dr. Erin Fall Haskell. So without further ado, let's get to it. Okay. So I feel like there's a lot of exciting shifts and changes that are coming through for you guys in this particular month, but I do feel like there's an energy here of needing to be aware and present with, aware of and present with what it is that you're really wanting. There's going to be a lot of choice, a lot of option. I keep seeing like a cornucopia of options. And I feel like the goal or the key for you guys is to really understand what it is that you're wanting for this next chapter of your life. And I do feel that September, almost for you guys, and I don't know if this is going on in the astrology or what, but it's almost like a new year, new start for you guys. So it's not just about what do I want this month. I feel like the questions that you're asking and the options that are being presented to you are really going to be setting the tone for what is coming up for you in the next 6 to 8 months. So I do feel that there's prominence to, there's method to the madness, right? There's prominence to what you're experiencing, and the choices need to be not well thought out, but I feel like you don't want to just be kind of mamby-pamby about it. You want to give some thought to why you are choosing this over that. And no choice is, there's no right or wrong choice. I feel like it's just important that you understand why you're making that particular choice. So let's see what we got. Ooh, the law of eternality. Live like you are dying. There's another sign that got this card as well. I think that's interesting. So this actually makes a lot of sense with what I'm tapping into, because I feel that there is a component of the choices that are going to be offered to you this month really opening you up to kind of a new pathway. And, the message, live like you are dying, makes a lot of sense. Like, we should all be in this space. We should all really embrace and embody, the breath in our lungs. The fact that we can smile, the fact that we can, walk or run or go out into the sunshine, to play out into nature. It's not taking our lives for granted. So live like you're dying. So give yourself permission to say yes to whatever you want of all of these, this plethora of option that is going to be there for you. But understand and know why you're doing what you're doing. So I feel like that's a really big message for you. Let's see how the cards kind of come through for you. So this first card pull, okay. Apparently, okay, I'm feeling like that's the card. Okay, this is where you are right now, presently in your transformational journey. What part of you is shifting, rising, or dissolving? I was trying to decide, like, is this an accident or is this the card really wanting to give the message? And I feel like it was really wanting to give the message. Oh, interesting. King of Pentacles. This is your card. This is the Capricorn card. So really feeling here like where you're at right now in your transformational journey, you're kind of in a reset. You're kind of in a space of, okay, I've closed out certain, aspects of a previous chapter. I'm feeling resolved with what that is and what that looks like. I know that there's something new coming. I don't know exactly what it is. So he's just kind of like, he's chilling on his throne. He is looking to the future. he's waiting for the sign. He's waiting for maybe an advisor, to sort of come up and say, hey, this is the news from the battlefront, or, here's what we know about the situation in the kingdom, in the village. Here are some of the ways that we need to work things through. So I feel like there's this energy of waiting. You're kind of in your own environment. You're not, I feel a lot of neutrality, but there is also this energy of waiting. You're waiting for the catalyst. And of course, the next card that we're going to pull is the catalyst. So we'll find out what that is. But I do really feel here that it's important to honor and acknowledge that you really are in a space of not being completely sure what actually is coming up, what is actually going to be next. This isn't a bad thing. I like to say this is kind of like the Hanged One in the tarot, that you're in limbo. And, you Capricorns, you don't always like to be in limbo. You always like to be moving, building, creating something, moving, shaking, doing something. And I feel like right now, being in that King of Pentacles energy, it's okay that you're waiting and just sort of taking advantage of what is in your now space, because it's not going to be this quiet for very long. I feel like maybe a little bit of recharge, but I feel like this is more of an opportunity for you to kind of contemplate the role that you're playing in your own life. This isn't about doing a deep dive and, beating yourself up over past choices, but it is an opportunity to reflect on who you've been in your relationships with others, who you've been in your work situations, and giving like an honest evaluation of that. Because I feel like that's going to be the fuel for how you move forward when these other opportunities start to show up in your path this month. So speaking of, let's see what the catalyst is. What's fueling or hindering your transformation? And is this resistance, or is it rocket fuel? Interesting. Knight of Wands. So you've been running around. You might benefit from watching the Sagittarius reading that I did as well. There's some similar energy. You've been running around distracting yourself. You've been staying busy. You've been maybe throwing yourself under the bus. Maybe you've been overactive in your service. You've been really trying to create other things to do. And I feel like the word is distraction. You've been in distraction mode. And that's why where you're at right now is a bit uncomfortable for you. You're feeling a little stir crazy because you're sitting and you're waiting for someone else to come and give you information, rather than you being the one to go out and forge the path. The Knight is the one that enacts the King's orders, right? Or the Queen's orders. You much prefer being in that Knight energy where you're doing, versus, I want to say, sort of being in your own energy where you're dictating, right? Where you're executing, or having other people execute the orders that you've laid out. So what's really interesting about this is I feel like the Knight of Wands typically is an energy that is very passionate about things, very driven, a fun energy to be with. But on the other side of all of that passion, as passionate as they are about the good things, they can also be very passionate about the bad things. And so they can tend to be a little bit hot-headed in their approach. And I feel like there's a part of you that wants to be hot-headed. You want to resist this silence, quiet, this period of a little bit of limbo, or waiting for information, waiting for the next, path or journey. And I feel like the catalyst, the tendency is going to be to try and create busy work. And I feel that that's going to hinder you. There are going to be certain things that come up that will absolutely feed into the distraction pattern that you are in. And of course, our guides are going to support whatever it is we choose, right? So there's no judgment on it. But I am feeling here that the goal, the ultimate goal, your ultimate soul goal is to break out of this pattern, to really be able to sit in and face what it is that you got going on. Because I feel that there's a lot of internal turmoil that just keeps getting, put to the side, shoved for later. I won't think about that today. I'll think about that tomorrow. So I want to say the Knight of Wands is almost like you want to almost resist that feeling. You don't want to lean into this, because I feel that this is actually creating resistance from what is to come. But I feel like the wait is important, but it's not the actual like waiting that is what is important. It's the what you do while you are waiting that is what matters. And I feel like it's an invitation for you to do a deep dive into what it is that you're really feeling about certain things, some things from the past, some things that are, presently at play in your life. And we'll see how this sort of plays out. But I really feel like this is not September is a month that's really giving you space to not avoid your own feelings, your own truth. And I feel like it's important that you explore it, because if you don't, it's going to explore you. And I hear that very clearly. If you don't do the work in September, October is going to be a really rough month. There are going to be a lot of things that'll come up that'll get in the way of you being able to do what you feel you need to do. So do it now is kind of the energy of what I'm getting. This is the deep root. What deep belief, wound, or soul contract is driving this transformation under the surface? Interesting. 10 of Pentacles. So, yeah, a lot of legacy issues, a lot of issues around what is my purpose? Am I serving my purpose? I feel for some of you, this is ancestral. For some of you, this is family related things that are coming up. And I'm drawn to the deep belief piece. What deep belief is driving the transformation? And I feel like that's why you're being called to look within and to address and to not go off half-cocked. Instead, to be more discerning, to sit in silence. Because there are a lot of shifts and changes here. I'm hearing the word expectation. There's a lot of expectation around whatever this card means for you. Expectation of others on you or for you. And I feel like you want to get clear on what really matters right now. Like, it's like everyone else can have their opinion and can see from their opinion or from their vantage point, can see clearly what you need to do. But none of that matters unless you're actually prepared to do it for yourself. And I don't know why, but I feel that there's this resistance. Perhaps it's a worthiness issue, but there's this resistance to like I want to say, you're going to be the type of individual that would say this to the best friend. And it's sound advice and it makes total sense. But when the friend says the same advice back to you and it's the truth, you don't want to hear it. You don't receive it. You close off. You create situations where you're not having to hear it or receive it. And you know that it's coming. You sense it. You feel it. Your spideys are working. But there's that part of you that's like, no, I don't like it. I'm above that. Or that's beneath me. Or I'm different. And I feel like this is connected to worthiness issues. So I know I'm kind of talking a little around and around here, but I do feel, and we're going to see what the rest of the cards have to say, but I do feel that the deep belief here, the wound that is affecting this transformation, is about a limiting belief, I'm going to say, around your worthiness. And maybe there's a fear of being vulnerable, a fear of being one of in those ways. I know for me, sometimes it's easier because I'm in a space all the time of being in service, holding space, passing on information to others to help them navigate, different circumstances. It's so easy. It comes so naturally to me to be in that space and to do that thing. When the tables are turned and I need to be vulnerable, there's a wall. I have a particular wall, and not with everybody, but it takes a while for me to feel comfortable with someone before I just lay all the cards out on the table. And I would argue that we're all, sort of similar in that regard. Not everybody is an oversharer. But I feel like that's kind of what's at play here. It's easier from an ego perspective to always be the person to hold the pain for somebody else than it is to actually be the person that needs someone to hold the pain for them. And so I feel like this is where you're being called to grow, called to evaluate in those ways. Interesting. What's dying away? What part of you is falling away? What role, pattern, or identity has run its course? Oh, I'm feeling that one. It's like a feeling. Is that the right one? Yep, that's the one I'm feeling. Okay, so this really ties in with what I'm picking up here with the Seven of Pentacles. This is the card of integrity. And I feel like what's dying away is this idea that you have to wear a particular mask. You've got to be in the shadows. You have to hide in plain sight in order to be able to function. So Capricorns, I really feel like this month, September, is really going to kind of be where the rubber meets the road kind of energy, because gosh, okay, don't shoot the messenger. Okay, this is just the message. But it's like you're a part of everything. You're one of us. You're just like the rest of us, is what I keep hearing. And please don't take this as me thinking that you guys think you're all that in a bag of chips or you're better than everyone else. This is just what your guides are kind of coming through with, right? So it's this idea that you have to hold yourself to a higher standard or a different standard than everyone else. And I feel like, again, it comes from a worthiness place. It comes from, feeling like you're not worthy. And so then you've, sort of constructed a particular way of being, interacting, existing with those in your life. And all of it is that protective measure, right? It's protective to protect your heart. But I want to say to you, I feel like this is the cycle that you're getting ready to break out of. And it's not necessarily going to be easy to break out of, but boy, oh boy, is it ever going to feel amazing on the other side of it, because it's liberation. In order to get to that space, there's got to be a real, honest, this is me. This is who I am, warts and all. These are the choices I made. And I feel like this is you doing this with yourself. Like, yes, there are going to be opportunities for you to do this with other people, an accountability partner or a therapist or, a best friend or whatever. But I feel like the real task needs to be done within. That's why that King of Pentacles is here. This is the time to do this evaluation and this deep dive. And don't wimp away from the hard truth, because not every truth is going to be hard truth, but the hard truth that's there is hard. It's hard for a reason, because it's like, oh, I don't like that choice that I made. I don't like myself in that regard. I wish I had done something differently. So own that and learn from that, because the space that you're moving into, I feel, is going to be the kind of space where you're going to be able to do things differently the next time. And it's going to feel healing on the other side. That's a big thing. I just keep hearing a lot of healing for you this month. Highest potential. So this is your highest Phoenix potential. What can rise from the ashes? What is your soul calling you toward? This is your breakthrough energy. This is one of my favorites. I love the breakthrough question. You have the Emperor, and this just flew out, by the way. That's why I turned it upwards right away. The breakthrough energy is use of, I want to say, right use of power. I'm hearing right use of power. So when we talk about the Emperor is the divine masculine energy, very action oriented. It is I don't need anyone's permission to be who I am and to do what I need to do. When I say jump, you say how high. It is divine birthright. Well, when this is out of balance, it becomes a big power issue where you have power, control, domination. You know, again, when I say jump, you say how high. And if you don't jump high enough for me, I'm going to cause you harm. I'm going to cause you pain. And I'm going to rule with an iron fist. And so I feel like some of what you're doing here right now and the breakthrough is really going to be about releasing this idea that you have control over anything at all in this world other than your ability to react or to respond to how life shows up for you. And we all have, these issues. I feel like for you guys, because there is such a built-in strength of character and such a built-in, I want to say, like, not to say that you know yourself 100%, but there's like a confidence in what you know about yourself. Doesn't mean you know everything about yourself. You're just like the rest of us, that we all have to kind of go on our path, our self-awareness journey, doing all the things and the stuff. And you're in it to win it, just like every other sign. This month, for whatever reason, I feel is a month where all of these, I would argue to say that every one of us has control issues. I am queen of control issues, right? I'm like a huge A-type personality. So I know of which I speak. I feel here like that's the big issue. This is what is, I want to say, the most important, is where you're holding on to control, where you're holding on to the illusion that you have any control over certain aspects of the situation, and right use of power. I do have power. How do I want to use it? In what ways can I use it that is going to actually benefit me as well as, sort of the other people around me? And you do this on a regular basis, but this feels like it's at a deeper level. And I want to say there's a part of you that is kind of struggling right now because there are some things that are out of your control. There are some things that are making you angry, bringing up anger or rage, or just bringing up like a fuck ton of fear. And the Emperor is coming through to say right use of power. And that means right use of power in your interactions with others, but it also means right use of power within yourself. How are you talking to yourself? What kind of self-care practices are you using? Are you honoring the fact that you might need a little rest? Are you paying attention to the fact that you might be over-serving in order to distract yourself from really coming into the reality of this or the truth of this right use of power? So kind of a deep soul dive that's coming up. And this is the breakthrough energy. When you connect with this and you receive the clarity around it, everything bursts wide open and there's movement forward. And there's movement forward in a confident direction. What's emerging just around the corner? What energy or experience is coming in to support the next phase? Interesting. I was wondering if the Tower was going to come up for you. So yeah, I definitely feel here like the Tower is coming through because this is a time where you really need to be released of your burdens, released of too many responsibilities, so that you can be more a part of your own life than you have been up to this point, just speaking of, within the last year or so. A lot of what you've been doing has been about and for others. And the tower's coming through to basically remove that and to put yourself front and center. Now, this is not for all of you, but for some of you, I feel that there may be a bit of a health journey in this regard. A little bit of a health journey that forces you to really slow down and to kind of do the work, right? So this can be a physical health journey, a mental health journey, an emotional health journey. And I don't feel like it's awful, but I definitely feel like it's poignant. And I feel like it's going to be pretty obvious to you when you get it. You're like, oh, okay. I'll just use the analogy of a story that happened to me years ago. I was so driven and I wasn't listening. I wasn't paying attention to anything, all the things and the stuff. The universe had me break not one, but both of my feet in order to get me to sit down and to stop moving. And even then I didn't listen. I still pushed myself. I still, went to work and did all the things and, created some problems in my feet as a result of that, right? That I had to deal with for a while. So, don't be me. Listen, take advantage of this. The health journey is there not to make your life a living hell. It's there to say, hey, there's something here that really needs your attention. And when you're able to give it your attention, then we can move on, right? Look at all the pink in this beautiful card. Pink is one half of the heart chakra. Unconditional love, self-care, self-compassion, self-forgiveness. It's an invitation to connect to the self, because I feel like you've been neglecting the self, because you've been distracting yourself from the heart of things, from the pain of what I want to say is in existence there. And it needs to be processed. It needs to be felt. And it's okay that you're giving yourself permission to choose you. And you will be supported. I do feel that you will let someone in, and that person will hold your hand. That person will support you in the journey without judgment. Just give yourself permission to open up to that, to be a little bit vulnerable. Where are you at in this process? How are you navigating this particular transformation? Are you resisting, flowing, grieving, or boldly rising? Ooh. So 6 of Wands, it's a card of victory. What's interesting about this card, though, is I'm not feeling 100% the victory energy as much as I'm feeling almost like a chariot energy where you're being taken from one place to another. I almost feel 6 of Swords energy here, where there's somebody that is taking you in a new direction, support and grace. And I feel like maybe the reason why I'm seeing these 2 cards sort of blended is because this is who you need to be for yourself. And when we talk about that, you in this process, how are you navigating the transformation? This is you on the horse, still trying to be in service to somebody else, still trying to control what is really, quite frankly, uncontrollable. It's an illusion of control. Yeah, like this creature would probably not work with you in the same way, would not be as cooperative in the same way if they weren't strapped all in to this, right? So again, I feel like the real issue here is at the heart of it, it's really about control, right use of power. And how you're navigating this, I feel like you want to just keep reminding yourself the victory comes in knowing when it's time to get off the horse or whatever creature this is. Yeah, I think it's a horse. It's just an interesting colored one. So know when it's time to get off the horse. Know when it's time to pass the torch. To say, I am so sorry, we're going to have to stop for the night because I need a break. And whether this person is royalty or not, whether they get mad or not, or they're happy with what you're doing or not, it doesn't matter. I feel like the victory is in you knowing when to get off the horse. So are you resisting, flowing, grieving, or boldly rising? Well, I want to say I feel like it's a little bit of all of the above. Ultimately, yeah, you want to be boldly rising, but I do feel that there's a lot of grief in what's going on. This is quite possibly what you've been compartmentalizing for a while. The flow is in, you are still moving forward, but you're recognizing I'm moving forward, but there's really not a whole lot of room for me in what this is. And then the resistance is, no, I still need to be in service. And understanding, oh, me saying that actually means that I'm distracting myself from something that's important. And if I just face it and I take the time that I need, then I can be in service again. I'm just approaching it in a different way. So you're shifting the way that you are showing up in the world. And September is a month where it's laying a lot of foundation for how that is going to happen. So this is your circles of support. Who or what is influencing your transformation right now? And is it in a positive or negative way? Wow. I love the Four of Swords. I have such an affinity for the Four of Swords. It's a card that I pulled oh my God, every day for almost a year during a very depressive time in my life. So Four of Swords is that truce, that rest. It's the permission for you to get out of your head and to step into that space of, I can't control anything. So I'm just going to rest. I'm going to rest. I'm going to observe. I'm going to give myself a chance to recharge. I'm going to let others pick up the baton, right? I'm going to let others handle what needs to be handled. This isn't a card of receiving from others as much as I feel that this is a card of receiving from source. And there's a real shutdown, a disconnect from the world in essence. So I feel like your support system, your circles of support here, it's less this month about friendships and family members and other people, and more about the connection with yourself and connection with source. Getting quiet, listening to the messages, allowing the space for silence where you might not be getting any messages, but what you're getting is what you need, which is a break away from the static, a break away from the noise of life and the world. Fours are foundational as well. And I feel like with friends and family, with your circles of support, there is going to be that foundational component. So there are others who are going to be happy to, pick some things up for you, handle some things for you as you take the time to recharge. So don't be afraid to reach out. But I also want to say to you, the bulk of the work is internal. It's you supporting yourself, you allowing source to support you by being open to listening to the source guidance, being open to source shifting you and moving you in the direction of the answer. But it might come through in a bit of a different way. Hopes and fears about the shift. What are you dreaming of becoming? And what scares you about actually doing it? See which card stands out to me. This one right here. Nope. I always go for ones that are just the single card. There we go. Oh, another 4. Wow. Okay. So you're afraid of the numbness. You're afraid of the detachment. You're very much afraid of the delay. We already talked about that. You're sitting and you're waiting and you're not just sitting and relaxed and you're waiting, you're anxious, right? You're waiting for that piece of information, someone to come to you so that you know what, needs to be done next. 4 of Cups, there's despondence here. I feel like for you, this is the fear that you will crawl up into a little ball and be completely functionless in society, that you will not have any energy to get up for the game again. And, I want to say to you, that is a sign of exhaustion in one particular area of your life, right? Overworked, overwhelmed, burnout. So when we're talking about hopes and fears, what I would say to you here is, especially because we've got 2 4s in a row, this 4 of Cups is saying the delay is appropriate, but it doesn't have to be scary in the way that you approach it. If you do experience a bit of numbness, work on that. Work to connect with the numbness. Get below the surface of that numbness, because under the numbness is the wound, right? Is the answer, is the thing that you are working to heal through to get onto the other side. You won't be stuck in this delay forever. This is not going to be your permanent state. It may feel like that as you're kind of in it, but again, this is also a card of resistance, right? There's resistance to, being told wait. There's resistance to being angry or disappointed that things haven't turned out the way you thought. But of course, you're paying attention to not you, the dude in the card here. He's paying attention to what he doesn't have, rather than the opportunity of what is, there if he just kind of looks around, right? To see what else is available, to see what else is possible. I feel like for you, the fear really comes in you losing your momentum. And maybe that's why you've been doing so much busy work, right? To stay busy so that you kind of are afraid, like once you stop, you're not going to be able to start again. And I would say to you, let's turn this frown upside down. Let's turn this into an opportunity to really be intentional about exploring the feelings that come up when you're not doing. Journal it, write it out, set yourself up to be in a non-judgmental space. Have someone who is a good processor to be with you if that's the case. Listen to music while you're doing it, pull some cards on it, whatever you need to do. I would say don't be afraid of this. Sometimes people look at the 4 of Cups and they go, ugh. I want to say lean into that. What we resist persists, right? So if you lean into it, you're able to move through it faster. And I feel like that's ultimately what's kind of on the other side of this. So that feels pretty significant. All right, and finally, we are at our outcome. If you stay on course this September, who will you be on the other side of this journey? What is the result of embracing the full death and rebirth cycle? 10 of Cups, awesome. So you have the 10 of Pentacles and the 10 of Cups. This is brilliant. Okay, so you're going to get the ideal outcome. And I feel like this is such a card of hope for you, given all of the stuff that we've kind of discussed here. This is the card of hope that says, on the other side of this month, this month is going to be like having to really be intentional about connecting to the things that are uncomfortable and the things that you don't want to look at about yourself or about your choices or about the situation that you're finding yourself in right now. But when you give yourself the space to do that, the clarity comes, and then you have your ideal outcome. You have the pathway forward. A new portal opens up for you, and it does symbolize the next chapter, the next, not leg of the journey, but I want to say, like, you got the 6 of Wands, like the victory in being able to have this. Without that 6 of Wands and the choices made in that 6 of Wands, this portal would not be available to you. You would be going in a completely different direction. So I feel like there's newness that is going to be presenting itself to you. And what did I say at the beginning of the reading? You're going to have a lot of different options that are showing up for you. And a lot of it is going to be to look within, to go deep in that experience. But you're going to get the ideal outcome on the other side. There is a new beginning, and it's very desired. It's very, very desired. And if you don't do the work now, this doesn't show up. Wow. And you know what, Caps? I feel like last month you had kind of a heavy duty reading as well. So astrologically, there's probably some, just some stuff that's hidden in your chart in different ways. So my heart goes out to you. And I know this is all, I feel like I've, just kind of given you this dun dun dun, but I want to lift you up. If you get through this, like if you really make the decision right now to say, all right, I'm in it to win it, I'm going to get through this, you will get through this. And I feel like you'll get through this. It'll only be, the month of September, and you're going to see the light on the other side of it. And it's not seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. I feel like you'll be at the end of the tunnel, and you'll be in this, right? You'll be in that space of, oh, here's the next direction, and wow, does this ever feel good? So lean into that. It was such a pleasure to connect for you guys today to read this transformational tarot for September. As always, if I can be of service to you in any way, please feel free to click on the link below, book a session with me. We can walk through all of this, navigate it together. I'm happy to be a support system and a guide for you. Otherwise, I hope you guys have the most amazing week until we see each other for another edition of Black Feather Couture, Divining a VIP Life. I am sending you lots of love. Take care and transform well.